You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Get your free inventor's information. Call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Get your free inventor's information. Call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
Well, good evening, folks. Happy Tuesday. That's right. It's no longer Monday. It's also time for the Jen and Nick Show right here live on KLRNradio.com. That's right. We're back, and it's the actual real show. Last week, everybody tuned in expecting to hear me and Jen. You got me instead on Thursday because I didn't have anything better to do. Now, for tonight, there will be a bit of a programming note. We have severe weather headed here sometime between about 10:15, 10:30. Because of that, we will only be doing the Jen and Rick Show tonight because I will be shutting things down, battening down the hatches. Everything else that runs on autopilot, so there'll still be other things you can listen to. Just no America Off the Rails tonight. We're supposed to be pretty well weather-free and clear for most of the rest of the week after tonight, so programming should start returning to normal for the most part. Because, yeah, luckily football season hasn't quite started yet. There's a red and white game on Thursday, but I don't have to stay for all of that, so I should be home in time for the 8 o'clock stuff. So, anyway, so how are you? I know you had a pretty busy week last week. I've been, fighting off the Grim Reaper for the last 6 months and occasionally feel better. Some nights not. Last night and most of today I felt really good. Everybody was like, dude, you were back to your old self yesterday. You sounded really good. Got up this morning, felt really good. The weather shifted. Now I want to die. Meh.
Yeah, it's, man, all through Texas, Oklahoma, we just get all the crappy weather. The weather does change so quickly, and it kicks up a lot of things, and it's spread all across the plains. So that's always great. But yeah, I've been just really busy, and it's been good. But I always look forward to Tuesdays and Thursdays and getting to hash out some politics. So I've not even been able to be as active on Twitter as I normally am. I've had a little bit, but so hang on.
To
be back.
Stay with me for a second, because she's right. She hasn't been able to be that active on Twitter. However, even in her downtime on Twitter, she manages to make twitchy. Me, not so much.
I swear I just get looked at by the right eyes at the right time, and they retweet, and I don't even know why. Like my tweet today, I was like, that's not even that. It's not even that good, but
Actually, I read it. It was
you get
good.
one.
I mean,
get one big guy that retweets it, and that's how that happens.
I mean, not to mention the fact that it was a direct jab at Rosie. I need a candy bar O'Donnell. But yeah.
Yes. Well, she did lose her shit.
Yeah, she kind of sounded like she needed a Snickers, but not to keep the candy bar thing going or anything, but
Yeah, I don't know that that's the best move for her, but she needs something. I had a padded room maybe, but she is off the rocker. And just real quick, we'll just talk about how there are so many people like her, though, that they actually think that if for some reason Trump was impeached, that they can basically get a redo on this entire, presidency, on the election, that everything they have done will be null and void, including Gorsuch, which I'm sorry, he was confirmed by, fair and square. He was confirmed. So that is not happening. But these people are delusional. And unfortunately, there are so many people in this country on the left that actually believe this. They think they can force this to happen, that if he is impeached for some reason, that it will also mean that anybody that was elected with him, that he nominated, that was confirmed, hired, whatever the process was, the technical process was for them being, there, that they will all just have to leave. And
that's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
Sorry, had to.
Exactly. And, the other day she boasted something about him not knowing the Constitution. And I'm going, well, obviously, Rosie, you have no clue about the Constitution either. Otherwise, you wouldn't make such a ridiculous statement. But
well, see, actually,
what you going to do? Lefty's going to left.
Well, actually, I have a coworker who's fairly far left, but we still manage to have discussions because she knows I've never really been a huge Trump fan. So every once in a while, she'll come by and we'll start having conversations. I think I know how most of this is being fed. I don't remember the name of the website that she gave me, but there is apparently a new website out there that is convinced that they have been able to link everyone down to Secretary of State Tillerson into this Russian campaign. So they're or this Russian situation, whatever you want to call it. So they're absolutely convinced that if all of this shakes loose, by the time it's said and done, Trump's out, Pence is out, Ryan's out, the pro tem's out, who suddenly his name escapes me, and then even Tillerson would be brought into question. I think who is the Secretary of State. I don't have any of the information in front of me, so right now I'm just pulling things out of my head. And I'm on cold pills, so it may or may not be accurate.
I can understand them thinking that maybe they could get Pence and Tillerson to go. Also, they're not going to get Ryan. I'm sorry. He was not hired by Trump. He did not work for Trump. He did not campaign for Trump. They're not going to get Ryan. It's just not going to happen. So they can just look forward to President Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if
they think they're going to get a good chunk of them, then that's what it will end up being, because they are not going to convince. They're not going to convince Congress that Ryan, is some way nefariously involved. They're just not going to do it. And which, by the way, this brings me to another point about all of the impeachment talk. Everyone, the Trumpers are trying to defend him, saying he didn't break any laws. There's nothing, which is partially true. I mean, the president can declassify pretty much anything. There's some protocol about it. There are ways in which the Congress can come back and deem certain things as endangering, the citizenry or the national security of the United States of America, and say that was not okay to declassify. But, there are a few things about that, but mostly they can decide. Now, whether they should or not, of course, is a totally different thing. And that's where Congress comes in with impeachment proceedings. High crimes, and, that does not mean that there is some written book. I think people think that high crimes and misdemeanor, that there is like a list of things that fall under that category or that umbrella, and there's not. And it doesn't even have to be a law broken. You don't have to commit perjury. You don't have to pass along classified information. You don't have, none of these things matter. The House actually gets to write what the impeachable crime is. I mean, they get to draft what they view as impeachable and get that passed so that it then is an impeachable offense that can, then be acted upon. And a lot of people are going to have a really hard time understanding this, that it doesn't have to be about any law broken. It doesn't even have to be that the president or whoever else you're trying to impeach actually did anything that goes against some sort of code or anything like that. The House can literally pretty much decide whatever they want. They can make up something to be an impeachable offense, which is scary if you think about it in the terms of if it had a very vindictive and vengeful legislative body. But this is part of that separation of powers things. You're not going to convince enough votes in the House to, at this point anyways, to draft anything that has been done at this point to be considered, impeachable. I think that's going to be a little ways down the road, and there has to be a lot more that comes out about it before you would even start hearing it actually being seriously considered in the House. But everybody thinks, okay, so he's gonna, these are impeachable offenses, and that's what the anti-Trumpers are saying, and then the Trumpers are saying he didn't break any law, he can do what he wants, and they're both kind of right. Like, they can be impeachable offenses, but also they're not illegal, so they cannot be impeachable offenses as well. But that's what that means. So it doesn't really matter. You don't get to. It doesn't matter what either side is arguing. All that matters is if the House decides to deem them such as high crimes and misdemeanor.
I mean, to me, the whole thing is just completely crazy at this point. I mean, look, I don't, again, and I've said this before, I don't know what happened with the Russia situation, but I want to know. But here's my point with all of this, and it's something that I keep asking over and over again, and nobody seems to want to talk about any of that as far as the Russia connection, because that's where a lot of this keeps coming from. If Russia did what some folks are saying that they did, then is it really Donald Trump's fault, or is it the sitting president at the time's fault? And why is nobody asking that question?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, people want to believe what they want to believe on all sides of this, don't you think? Like, people are just constantly like looking for whatever they can, and they're trying to rewrite and they're trying to repackage things that have already happened to fit some sort of narrative. So they're playing gotcha, but like looking back in the past and stuff from the campaign, and so, they're constantly trying to find things that fit their narrative and to rework them and manipulate them to fit that narrative. So we're just left with all these manipulated versions of things, and it's very hard to wade through, and you've got a pretty dishonest media, or at least a very heavily emotionally charged and invested media against him, which doesn't help anything. And then you've got a little bit on the right too, and then you've got a lot of people that, like, it's so hard to figure out to get to the bottom of anything because it's just a mess.
And that's another question, though. How do we find the truth in this day and age when everything is partisan, everything is political, or everything is about profit? Because that's what's happened to the news. Nobody tells the news just to tell the news anymore. Well, except for maybe folks like us, because we're not out to make a buck. We're just out here trying to say, hey, this is what we see going on. We want to talk to you guys about it, and what do you think? And then we expect you guys to kind of form opinions on your own based on what we talk about. But the thing is, that doesn't happen anymore. We now have, and honestly, this is going to sound weird coming from a capitalist, but I think one of the biggest mistakes that we ever made was making news and media for profit. Because there was a time when they still made money and people were able to make a living, but they weren't so profit-driven that the truth be damned. And that's what we have. That's what we have in this day and age. We have hit a time where if it bleeds, it leads. It doesn't matter if you don't have all the facts right now, because if it turns out we're wrong, we can just run a retraction later. And then they'll bury the retraction on page 14A, subparagraph 2, and nobody sees it. But it doesn't matter because they ran the retraction. But never mind the fact that they've gotten 4 million page clicks on the first article they put out that they discredited with a 2-sentence paragraph buried all the way back in the back when they realized that they had made a mistake. And it's all about page views and readership and listens and everything else anymore. And nobody wants to talk about the truth. Not to sound like a few good men here, but all I really want is the truth. If the Russians were involved in our election process, I want to know. I don't have any reason that I could possibly be upset about it, because let's face the facts, we have done this a zillion times over. We as a country have tried to influence elections all over the world to try to make them more, in our definition, more democratic, whatever the case may be. So I can't really be upset if when we took a step back off of the world stage and started showing everybody our stomachs anytime anything happened and started rolling over, I can't really be upset that a country like Russia may have started stepping in and doing the same thing that we've been doing for decades. But the fact that they did it here, I just want to know. Because ultimately I want to know so who I can find out who we can hold accountable and how we can make sure it doesn't happen again. Because again, my question is, if any of this has happened the way it's being laid out in the media, then ultimately, should it have not been the sitting administration's fault for dropping the ball? Because they were the ones, when Donald Trump was doing his little tirades about how things can be hacked and this election can be thrown, and if I lose, it's going to be unfair, blah, 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 blah. Barack Obama's, mark my words, our elections cannot be hacked. And yet now the whole narrative's changed. I just want to know the truth. I don't understand how we've lost sight of understanding and knowing the truth and having that matter.
Right. And that is, I think, for people like you and me, and I think there's a good chunk of the American people that are also like this. Well, that we just want to know what's going on. We want to know the truth. And if there was something behind the scenes that, was untoward, that, as a public that elected this government, we should know that. We should be able to get to the bottom of this. But in addition, though, I think other than just Trump voters, I think there's a good section of the population of the anybody in the citizenry, whether they voted or not, that are very hesitant to believe something, whether it is treasonous or whether it is illegal or colluding or something like, somewhere along those like lines of nefarious acts against the United States, they are very, very hesitant to believe that our president would do that, no matter who he is or she is, no matter what party they are in. So I think that there is an even extended section of the population that kind of knee-jerk defends and protects the office and the person in the office, because this is America and they just don't work against our interests that way. So they don't have to be Trump fans to be untrusting and just not falling for just any kind of anonymous sources that come out with this or that. They want to see the hard proof, and once that's given, then they'll figure out how to deal with it and wrap their head around the fact that someone who made it to the Oval Office was possibly some obviously corrupt and dealing with a pretty much an enemy. But I do think that that's something that people don't talk about enough and they don't look at enough. And I've recently talked to some people that are not politically aligned with me at all and are not necessarily, they don't hate Trump, but they think he's kind of a buffoon and they wish he wasn't president. They would have preferred someone like Hillary, but they're not so passionate about it that they, are going to go protest or that they think that he should be removed right now. But they do think that if this stuff is true, then yes, he should be. But they're not willing to believe it until they see something, because they just don't believe that someone would be able to make it into that office and then choose to serve at that level for this country. Because people do forget it still is a public service, that they would get that far, that they would do that and be against America. So I think that that's a big section of people that we kind of forget about, that aren't pro-Trump at all, but they're not willing to be anti-POTUS and they're not willing to believe these kinds of things until they see some proof.
Sorry, I actually was fighting latency, so I hate to come back in late. I missed part of what you just said because for some reason the hamsters are getting mad. I think the wind's picking up a little earlier than we thought. That's all right. I think we can muddle through for the last half of the show because we're almost to the bottom of the hour anyway. So to sort of change topics, but kind of along the same lines, since I completely missed my intro to come back in, there has been a nice little Twitter moment added today about apparently a memo that Trump sent to Comey. According to Comey's memo, President Trump asked the former FBI director to let go of the investigation into his ex-national security advisor, Michael Flynn. Of course, this was reported by the New York Times. Not that I believe pretty much anything that anybody prints anymore without at least 5 other sources and a note from their mother. Again, we're right back to the same thing we've been talking about before. So, I guess the one kind of point that the Trump administration could have taken to heart was maybe have this conversation on a tarmac, because it seems to work better. But, what do I know?
Oh, let's just they should do all of them on the tarmacs. Anything he wants to do, just hold it on a tarmac and they'll stay out of it.
Seemed to work for Slick Willie. He met with
Oh my
lands
gosh.
on the tarmac, and all of a sudden everything's gone. I'm just like, maybe you should have, maybe you should have invited him out to the South White House, as you like to call it, and been like, if you see that little water hole over there, if this memo doesn't go away, you're gonna go swim in it. No, I'm just playing. I don't. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Because look.
Yeah,
look, I could seriously sit down and I could write memos about everybody that I hate and talk about all the bad things that they supposedly did and turn it over to the press, and nobody's going to do anything with it. So, I don't know what's going on with Flynn. What I do know, and this is something that has bothered me this entire time, is every time I find anything that I can call into question with Trump, that I can legitimately call into question with Trump, the press goes completely nuts, and then I just want to defend him just to shut them up. You're not helping. You're not.
Yeah. Well, and I think the main problem is that they all pounce on something when they think they got it. It's like they can taste blood in the water, and then it turns out it was just red food coloring. Like they continuously blow up these stories before they have any facts, before anybody has been able to really corroborate anything, and then it falls apart, and it just leaves people going, well, again? Then why did you say that? Why did every single news outlet report this as fact when it wasn't at all? And I think that even with something like the SWAPO piece and some other things, sure, in journalism, you're going to have sources that you protect. And there are going to be things that come out where there is an anonymous source. The problem with all of this is it is anonymous after anonymous after anonymous after anonymous after. At some point, if these things are true that people are saying, which the story keeps changing anyways, and you can't figure out the timeline, and it's all over the map, then someone's going to have to put on their big boy pants and step up and say who they are and say why they know. Otherwise, it's just impossible to keep up with it all and to believe any of it, because even the anonymous sources contradict each other, and you can't verify anything. So that's just where we are right now. So the more that comes out, it starts to become discredited from the named source, and they have nothing that you can go and check and verify.
So here's my question about all this, because two things come to mind. First of all, I seem to remember in December when the FBI basically cleared Flynn of any wrongdoing with this whole Russian ambassador and communication thing, that they couldn't find anything untoward in their communications. Now remember, this was December, so this was just after the election. Now I have another question, because if Comey has this memo, didn't he just basically do what he was trying to investigate Hillary Clinton for doing and remove secure documents from a secure facility? Asking for a friend.
Ooh, that's a great point. And I was going to say real quick about all of these kinds of things that have been going on, especially with the SWAPO story, where people have said the anti-Trump people have been very annoyed and been like, but Fox is like, but the leaker. Okay, let's be real here. The leaking is a serious problem, and it is not okay, and it should be punished. It absolutely should be punished. This is happening repeatedly. There are some rotten eggs in the White House, or among their teams, or that are allowed in the press, that are consistently leaking information, leaking things in closed-door meetings. And, no, I don't think that all of that needs to be known all the time. Now, if something illegal has gone on and someone leaks, okay, but that doesn't mean that the leaker was still right to do so. Now, I don't think that that's the point of it all, but I don't think it's wrong for people to bring that up and say, well, first of all, big problem, why is anybody leaking in the first place? That is a very valid question. It doesn't negate whatever else happened that was leaked, but it is a valid question and something that we should be concerned about.
It's flabbergasting, because if you take all of this stuff apart and you look at all the different things that have come out, all the things that have come out under investigation, just like last week, the FBI director testified that there had been zero efforts to undermine any FBI investigation until he got fired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that always is questionable to me too.
So I mean, but here's my thing with that though. At this point, is that how we do things now? You get fired, so you write a nasty memo and say, "Here, this is what happened to me right before I got fired." I mean, is that how we're going to start doing? I mean, apparently it seems to work in D.C. because that's all everybody's talking about is the supposed Comey memo. I mean, I don't understand how we got here because look.
Yeah,
I wasn't a fan for the man. I will tell everyone that ever asked me, no, I didn't even vote for him. I'm not sure if unless he decides to, for some reason, not run for a second term, I still haven't decided if I'm voting for him second term because I haven't seen enough to sway me. He's barely done anything that he said he was going to do. And he was the one that put everything into this little bitty basket and said, these are all the things that I'm going to have done within my first 100 days. Oh, wait, this is a lot harder than I thought. Gee, that sounds an awful lot like a certain community organizer the other side floated 8 years ago. And we kept saying, you guys are kind of doing the same thing. And everyone was like, guys, shut up. You're just un-American. Okay, well, now you're kind of seeing exactly what we've been talking about. Because the press is not going to let up with him. They let Obama slide because Obama had a D behind his name. No matter what Obama did, it was perfect. No matter what, look, seriously, Trump could cut the deficit in half by tomorrow. Bring back 1 million jobs to this country by next week, and the press would still be eating him for lunch because he's a Republican. Now, let's not forget, this was the same press that loved him before he ever announced that he was going to run as a Republican.
As a Republican, asterisk.
Exactly. I've never hid the fact that, as far as I'm concerned, he is a legitimate Republican in name only because. How long has he even been a registered Republican is my question, because none of his family was.
That is the thing. When they were calling everybody else rhinos, I'm like, wait a second. Wait, Trump is actually the rhino. But okay, sure, whatever. Carry on.
Just let them have their moment. All right, so we really do need to take a break at this point because we are well into the bottom of the hour. So we'll be right back after about 3 minutes or so. Got to attempt to pay some bills. We'll see you in a few.
Everything is changing. Little Superman falls. Everything is breaking and apart now. There's no one to save us all. Superman falls.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
All right, folks, welcome back. Well, we're into the second half of the show already. We've kind of been going all over the place today. We've been talking about the Trump-Russia connection, the Comey memo, Roseanne's little caps lock, or not Roseanne. It wasn't Roseanne. It was Rosie O'Donnell. Yeah, sorry.
Rosie.
I'm confusing Rosie and Roseanne. I think I confused myself because I kept saying that Rosie needed a candy bar, so then I started thinking of Roseanne bar. And just little glimpse into inside the dark and scary place known as my mind. Trust me, you're be glad you're not in here with me. All right, so anyway, I don't know. What else you want to talk about? We really hadn't done this in over a week, so there's been like a million news stories, so I'm not sure if there's anything that you've seen that you wanted to comment on or not. And she's like, I worked all last week, and you just put me on the spot. Thanks.
I know. I'm like, I don't know. Everything's just, it feels like every day is like an outrage and a meltdown, of course. I just don't know. The Trump administration. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the right was a little bit like this about Obama, and specifically, I mean, especially at certain times. But this is just, this is something else to be a part, to witness, to be a part of history for, because it is just constant. But I think that one of the reasons that it just continues to grow, and we're never going to go back to the way it was. We're just never going to. We already saw this in Obama's administration, and it's just going to continue to get more and more exposure and get worse and worse as far as, kind of overanalyzing every move, every word. Did he say this to that person, or was it this? And trying to lip read them, and then this person said that they said, and they did. And we know every meal they're eating, was it 2 scoops of ice cream that he asked for and no one else got 2 scoops? That's ridiculous. Things like that are going to become stories on a regular basis because of the unfettered access that we have because of our technology. So there is some way to find an outrage in something every day, and that's just how I think this is the new normal. I don't think it's just Trump. I mean, obviously he ignited it. He inspires it in people. But I think in general, this is how it's always going to be, because we have so much, there's so much visibility. We know every schedule. We see the pictures. They're walking to the car. They're leaving the building. They're shaking the hand. They're taking the bite of the salad before they did this. They didn't they didn't bow their head for the prayer. All of these things just get incredibly scrutinized because we just have pretty much basically minute by minute. We have a play-by-play. We have live tweeting of their every move. We've got live photography of their every move. And everybody just better buckle up, because I think it's only going to get more exhausting. No matter if they do anything right or wrong. That's just, like I said, even the 2 scoops of ice cream thing. There are going to be 1,800 articles written about things like that every day.
Speaking of political nonsense and stupid articles. CNN is currently having a town hall special. Guess who's on the town hall special?
Oh, no, who?
Bernie Sanders and John Kasich. You know what they're talking
Oh,
about?
my God.
You know-
Oh, my gosh.
you know-
Put a bullet in my brain.
You know what they're talking about?
I do not need to watch that for anything
You know what they're
in the
talking
world.
about? White House in crisis. Oh, my God.
Oh,
bro.
my.
Okay.
I would be perfectly fine if I never heard John Kasich say another word. I feel like every time I'm always like, why are you still talking? One of my big, like, recurring things during the debates was STFU Kasich. Like, every time he'd start speaking, I'd just be like, shut up, Fruit Ninja. Get out of here, Kasich. I don't care about your mailman, Dad, Kasich. Like, everybody knew that, like, followed me, that it was always like, uh-oh, Kasich's talking. Jen's going to freak out and tell him to shut up. And I did every time because I can't stand him, but it's fine. Bernie, though, is just wanting to do these. How many of these has he done now? He's done like 4 or 5.
He did the one with taxes and Ted Cruz, and of course the left called that a victory for him, and anybody else watching said it was a victory for Cruz.
Oh my gosh, Cruz creamed him. Are you kidding? He absolutely schooled him. It was amazing to watch at certain points because he even turned his own points around back on him, and it was amazing. But he did one other one with somebody. Anyways, this is apparently like his thing now. I don't know if CNN just wants to give him like a segment that he hosts every week that he can just have a town hall and just invite whatever Republican he feels like inviting that week. Maybe that would actually increase their viewership a little bit. I don't know.
He just keeps bringing latkes into the newsroom, so they keep letting him do shows. What do they call those things? Latkes or whatever? I don't know. Anyway.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. But well, good for him though. That means he's getting an arm workout today. And you know, as you get up there in age, you need to stay active. He talks with his hands so much. That's got to be a lot on his shoulders.
Well, actually, have you seen his head? That's a lot on his shoulders. But anyway.
That's so true.
Sorry, that was kind of mean.
That was good, Rick. That was good.
Even for old Uncle Speedo, as JD used to call him, that was kind of mean. All right, so I mean, you know, but this is where we are. I mean, we literally have two people that basically did not make the cut on a news channel talking about how much trouble the White House is in over the Comey memo. I mean, dude, this is as bad as Barack Obama's red lines that meant nothing. This thing could basically be written in crayon on freaking construction paper, and they would be calling it the holy grail of impeachment. There are tweets going around all over the place that this frank discussion with Comey and with Bernie Sanders has brought the words impeachment and obstruction of justice into the mainstream lexicon of politics. The left hasn't let those words leave the lexicon of politics. As soon as Trump got elected, they were screaming about impeachment. Interesting side note, and also a bit of karma. Miss Maxine, I want Trump impeached, but I'm not going to admit that I ever said that I want him impeached, now has a billboard in her home state calling for her impeachment.
Ooh, I love it. You know, the best things happen to the nicest people.
I know, right?
She's a real piece of work. It couldn't have happened to a better person.
Okay, so that is pretty funny. I usually try not to read tweets on the air. I really don't. But this one, honestly, I just about shot water out of my nose when I read it. This is from like 7 minutes ago, and this is in regards to the CNN town hall, and it has the old Muppet dudes that were always in the balcony. It says, "When the hell did CNN start airing old Muppet episodes?"
That's awesome. That is so great. Oh my gosh. Do they have nothing else to do? I don't understand. That seems like a waste of time, but I guess they're just still trying to ride that, feel the burn wave maybe. And, Kasich, I think he's just self-serving. He'll go on and try to, battle him a little bit, but also try to come out like I'm the good Republican because I don't like Trump either. So he's probably agreeing with Bernie more than anything else.
Probably. It almost makes me wish that I had taped it, but then I'd probably want to gouge my eyes out later. All right. So
yeah, I didn't even know it was on, and I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I'm a little bit psycho about stuff like that. I'll do the same thing. I'll DVR it, and then I'll watch it, and I'll break it down, and I'll take notes, and it's maybe not healthy for me.
Not healthy, but good for what we do. All right. So other little interesting media side note. Did you know that Dan Rather has a news talk show again?
What?
Apparently, there's a network owned by Ryan Seacrest, and Dan Rather's doing their first and so far only news broadcast. Unfortunately, the audience is so limited, he opens the show every evening by saying, "Good evening, Ryan. How are you?"
Oh, that's funny. Que interesante.
Sadly, I can't remember the name of the network right now because that would have just brought the whole joke home. But anyway.
That's funny. No, oh, Dan Rather. What a tale, that guy.
Yeah, I think you mean Tool. Oh, sorry.
Well, that too. But what a tale, that career. The noseward, the downward dive, the nosedive of that career.
the tailspin of that career. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah. Whew. All right.
All right, so we still have a little bit of show left. I wonder what else is going on in the news. So I guess one of the other... Go ahead.
I did just want to read this. This was just posted in one of the groups we're in, and it is really pretty funny. So we're always talking about, snowflakes and how parents aren't doing their job with their kids, and that's why we have all these spoiled brats running around. And you can take this back. Every generation, I guess, kind of thinks this about the next generation or whatever. But it seems to be really hitting kind of, peak hysteria about it right now. And I think this is a good reason why. This says how to be a mom in 2017. Make sure your children's academic, emotional, psychological, mental, spiritual, physical, nutritional, and social needs are met while being careful not to overstimulate, understimulate, improperly medicate, helicopter, or neglect them in a screen-free, processed foods-free, GMO-free, negative energy-free, plastic free, body positive, socially conscious, egalitarian but also authoritative, nurturing but fostering of independence, gentle but not overly permissive, pesticide-free, 2-story, multilingual home, preferably in a cul-de-sac with a backyard, and 1.5 siblings spaced at least 2 years apart for proper development. Also, don't forget the coconut oil. How to be a mom in literally every generation before ours. Feed them sometimes. This is why we're crazy.
And the sad thing is, it really, up until this generation, has pretty much been about that simple. You let the kids go out and play for a while. You keep them, preferably limit their amount of TV time or video game time. Make them spend some time outside, hang out with their friends, go to school, and feed them. That was basically the gist of being a parent. Now we have... they're literally, and my wife used to watch shows where the parents were doing this type of thing. There were literally like a refrigerator full of things that says, Tommy has to be here by this time, and Susie has to be here by this time, and little Pat has to be here by this time. And there's like little rainbow colors all over the fridge, and these parents are running themselves ragged to fit all of these things into their children's lives so quickly, and so much so that they're neglecting their own, because that's the only way to apparently have well-rounded children. Now, look.
We're talking about a day and age where parents are literally getting arrested and their children are getting taken from them for walking less than half a mile to the park down the street from their home. So, we laugh at this meme that was made, but it's really not too far off. And let me tell you, from someone who avoids moms like nobody's business, because you just would not believe the amount of mom judging and the standards that people want you to live up to, especially like these new age. They think they're perfect. They think they've figured everything. They're going natural. And, it's kind of where you get some of this anti-vaxxer crap coming in too. But they, they know best. They don't let their kids drink out of plastic. They don't let it, and they're eyeballing you at every little thing that happens. There's so much negativity with that. I found that out right, when I was pregnant, and then right after having my son. Everybody's so critical of the choices you're making there, and like, do you breastfeed? Do you not? Are you circumcising? Are you not? Are you going to do this? You can't do this. You can't do that. You shouldn't do this. That's not good. That's bad. This is and everything's like just so intense. And that just keeps happening throughout raising these kids with moms nowadays. Everybody thinks that they know best. There's all these standards that you're supposed to live up to, and all sorts of wacko expectations that someone somewhere has decided is the best thing for a kid, and making everybody bend over backwards to fit that. So, I mean, at schools now, like they can't even have, you can never bring nuts as a snack, for certain things. Like it certainly can't be provided in a classroom of any sort, but kids can't even bring them. There are schools that have actually banned nuts on the whole because of the chance of one kid that has a nut allergy, which I totally understand. That is a scary thing. But we're just overcorrecting, we're over-exaggerating every single little thing to the point of insanity.
Speaking of insanity, actually unintentional but perfect lead-in. Guess who started a new political organization? Guess.
Oh, I heard Queen Bee herself.
Well, that's not the word I would use for her, but, I guess the first letter.
Well, yeah.
I guess the first letter's okay, but you left the rest of it off. Anyway.
Right. I'm obeying the rules.
Rules? Wait, we have rules? Wait, what are those?
Okay, well, I'm trying to be classy. We'll just leave it at B.
Okay, well, you can pull off classy, me not so much. So anyway, Miss, I've now failed to run for president multiple times. Has now started yet another political organization. I believe this one is called Onward Together. Apparently, it's been founded in order to encourage people to get involved, organize, and even run for office. Translation: Chelsea needs a bigger apartment, so give me money.
Yeah, I didn't like the way some of it was worded too. What's it called, or what was the hashtag? Onward Together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little. Some of the wording and the unity in this, it was a little creepy. It was a little Marxist, but which
Marxist?
Not. Well, yeah, I mean, not surprising.
I think you mean a lot of bit Marxist.
But when she was like, there were like 5 of these tweets, and she was like rambling on about, coming together and, love, kindness, this, that. And I was just thinking, basket of deplorables.
Oh, yeah. Oh, something else I wanted to talk about today, and I almost forgot. We're almost out of time. So apparently, I don't remember if it was Marco Rubio or Ted Cruz, but the left started having a fit today because one of those two was like tweeting out scripture.
Yes, Marco Rubio was tweeting scripture today. He actually only tweeted, it was a couple tweets, and it was because of a mass that he attended, and the scripture was focused on in this mass, and he was just, I guess, if people don't follow along and haven't seen some of these intimate things at conventions and things that he's spoken at. He's gotten together with groups of pastors from all over, all different denominations. And when you hear him talk, he's obviously extremely faithful and very well versed in scripture. So he talks about it very openly. So this is not unusual for this to bleed over into his Twitter account. He was inspired by a mass he attended, and he started tweeting scripture, and people freaked out. And they're like, this is terrifying. It's terrifying because he quoted the Bible as an elected official. And I saw people screaming separation of church and state. That clause is one, what they think, not that clause, that quote about separation of church and state that is not a clause in our Constitution is one of the most misunderstood things in politics, I think. But anyways, yeah, they utterly lost their minds over it.
Yeah, about a 90-second history lesson for those of you that love to shout about separation of church and state. That was specifically designed to prevent another situation as what they were facing in England. That was not the government allowing the free practice of religion or allowing people to practice a religion or even pray in public office. None of that was the issue. The issue was that there was an entire Bible that was created around a religion that was founded as the Church of England And at the time, it was King James, which is where we get the King James Bible from. And that's what those folks were trying to avoid when a letter, not part of the Constitution, a letter written by Thomas Jefferson outlined how there should be separation between the government and the church, only to avoid situations such as these. It wasn't to say that public officials cannot express their faith. It wasn't to say that people cannot express their faith in public buildings. It was to specifically say that the government cannot found a religion of its own. That's
It is actually more to protect churches and religion from government than it is anything else, because government corrupts, and it corrupts absolutely. But it's completely used wrong, and people scream it out, whenever there's something they don't like said religiously in some sort of like a public sphere that has anything at all, is in any way at all related to a government. And it's just absurd. But seriously, freaking out about tweeting some scripture on Twitter, there were a couple people that made a pretty good point, which is, had he been quoting the Quran, they probably would not have said anything. In fact, they might have applauded him for his inclusion and progressivism and his diverse, studies of other religions and being so inclusive.
Yeah, because let's not forget, these same people that are talking about inclusivity are they're in cities where they can't say the Pledge of Allegiance in school because there's the word God in there, but they talk to elementary age kids about Allah for like an entire semester.
And not only that, but there are schools all over this country that have several days where they have all of the girls wear hijabs or at least headscarves in order to be in some sort of solidarity with Islamic culture. And it's not an option. It's like part of your grade, which I am not as much concerned with, because I feel like all growing up, whenever I learned about certain cultures and their foods and their religions and their country and their, that we always did kind of stuff like that. I studied. We had to all choose we had groups, and we all had to choose countries, and we called it We Are the World. And then we had a big celebration afterwards and had a parade and everything. But I was Brazil. And so I dressed in a traditional like Brazilian, garb. And then I made several Brazilian recipes, with the help of our moms and the other people in the group. And we painted the Brazilian flag and all sorts of things. So I kind of view it in that light. I don't think it's something to get really up in arms with, unless it's something that they're like pushing and requiring because they're trying to influence these women and they're misleading them about what it means. That's when I have a problem with it. And unfortunately, it seems like that's happening in a lot of schools. But they're not screaming about that. They don't get mad about that. That's perfectly okay.
So speaking of another little interesting thing that's happening in some schools, and I don't remember what school district this was in, but I remember reading an article about the fact that in a certain school district, because in the Muslim religion, apparently Father's Day and Mother's Day aren't separated. So to be more inclusive, they had determined that children would not be making Father's Day or Mother's Day presents this year in class so that the children who didn't celebrate Mother's Day or Father's Day for religious reasons or possibly weren't in the best home situations didn't feel left out.
Not into it.
Not at all. I mean, look, there is inclusivity, and then there's the point of you're trying to include everyone so much that you start inadvertently excluding people, because then people that...
Yeah.
I mean... It's always the way that it is. It's like right now. I mean, I literally have seen this happening more and more. Now that gay marriage is acceptable and it's normal and nobody really looks at it sideways anymore, now they're attacking each other. Because, there'll be people that are tweeting about, their relationships and this, that, and the other, and be like, so now the only way that you can be a happy gay person is to be involved in a monogamous relationship. That is such a terrible thing to say. And I see these things starting to come up all over the place. It's, now that they've been normalized, they're back to attacking each other again, which doesn't necessarily bother me as much, but still at the same time, I'm just like, you fought for it, you got it, now you don't like it. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, look, I worked in the gay community for 14 years. I ran a security agency, and one of my first contracts was the group of clubs and restaurants that are in a certain area of Oklahoma City that were exclusively catering to gay people. That was one of the first contracts that we signed. I worked there from the day that we opened the agency until the day that I closed it. And I know a lot about how that area is, at least here. And we used to have conversations about this all the time because I kept asking him, is this something that you really think is important to you when you can basically legally do the same things now and have the same type of protections without all the headache? And there were half of them that I talked to, like, I don't need to be put on paper. The last thing I need to do is be divorcing this dude when he finally irritates me enough where I decide I don't want to be with him anymore.
Yeah, one of my best friends, he would always be like, "Are you kidding me? Like when they ruled the gay marriage, was constitutionally protected and that had to happen." He was like, "I was just thinking, oh, I'm so glad I'm not in a relationship right now. I'd be so screwed."
I mean, so
Also, side note. I am running. This is funny, an event for a gay erotica art show on Saturday. So, which is always a lot of fun, and it's a huge fundraiser for the LGBTQ community here in Austin, and it's always a great time. But don't like to look around too much, even for the most. I don't know, progressive, open-minded of people, some of this art would make you blush or...
you don't have to tell me anything.
Look away. Look away. It's very interesting.
I worked 14 years of Pride Parades. I've seen it all. Yeah.
Oh, it's funny. I mean, I just laugh. My boss is like, all right, you can handle that. I'm leaving.
So, the only thing that I'm surprised hasn't happened yet in this, TV-driven, commercially oriented, money is everything world, since gay marriage is now legal, I'm really surprised they haven't come up with gay divorce court.
Oh my gosh, I would watch it. I would DVR it. That's a brilliant idea.
They would need
There's got to be one in the works.
They would need the most flamboyant, flaming gay judge ever.
Yes, no, you would absolutely have to have a flaming judge. That would be...
It'd be like, oh, girl, he really did that to you? Oh, yeah, guilty.
Wait, no, you know what? You don't need a flaming judge. You need a super, conservative, stoic judge. But that is oh, give me a break. I don't know, maybe a Dr. Phil type judge. But then have the bailiff be flaming. Judy, she always talks to the bailiff and is like, can you believe this? Or did he tell her that? Is that what he means? And the bailiff always makes some little commentary. That's what we need.
See, I just don't know if
I'm into this.
I don't know if a conservative judge could do the show long enough without having a coronary.
Well, they don't have to actually be conservative. They just have to play that part. Where they're where they're just exhausted and fed up with the way that they are and think they're all ridiculous,
So it could, one of the commercials could be, I'm not a conservative judge, but I play one on TV right here on Gay Divorce Court.
Exactly. I actually, when I was saying conservative, I have more meant in demeanor as opposed to
the whole stern, cranky. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Oh, good grief. Oh, I'm over this. What? I don't care. He slept with him. Okay, who cares? What does that have to do with anything? That kind of deal.
So basically,
be really funny. I'm sorry. They're fighting over a bedazzled thong. I'm not understanding what purpose does that serve.
And then the bailiff chimes in, Judge, that's not a bong.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Exactly. Hence it being bedazzled.
All right, so we're actually officially long, so I need to get things wound down because I can hear the wind starting to howl a little bit behind the window.
Ran this off the rails, so that's fine.
Well, hey, we aren't doing an official off the rails today, so at least the end of this show went officially off the rails. So anyway.
Oh my
yes,
gosh.
folks, we are this way in real life too. All right, so on that note, we are out of here for the night. Again, there will not be an America Off the Rails episode tonight because as soon as we shut this down, I'm shutting down the computer because the wind is starting to howl. So I don't want to lose my computer. It's been acting crazy enough lately. I don't want to put it through another set of power flashes. I will be back live tomorrow with you tomorrow night. Don't forget we have a full lineup for you tomorrow night starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. Sorry, we have a new show that's pending, so I keep trying to figure out exactly when that one's starting. So 8 p.m. Eastern, we kick off with The Conservative Curmudgeon, which will be a replay for this week. Make sure you tune in next week for his 100th episode. We got lots of folks coming. Apparently, I have been told that I'm unmuting my mic for the episode because we're going to have like a whole panel and have some fun. So make sure you tune in for the replay for tomorrow night, the live episode for his 100th next week. And then we have, I did it again. I never can remember the name of Dan's show because he went with a different name. The Right Side, that's it.
The Right Side, yeah.
Is 9, well, actually, first we have Jess's POV at 9 Eastern, then we have The Right Side at 10 Eastern, then I'll be finishing everything up at 11 Eastern with America Off the Rails. As far as I know, there's no bad weather for tomorrow night. And in a couple of weeks, as soon as we can nail down a start date, we have a surprise, but I promised I wouldn't say anything until she officially announces. But she'll be bringing in to actually anchor the Wednesday night group, and she'll actually be kicking us off at 7 Eastern, and then G, and then so we'll actually have 5 live shows back to back to back to back, which has been a while since we've been able to pull that off. So anyway, on that note, folks, we are out for the night. Provided I don't wind up in Oz, I will see you guys tomorrow. Apparently there's been some pretty good tornadoes kicking off to the west of me. The news apparently is saying now that a lot of the energy has died down, so I think we're just going to get some straight line winds. Cross your fingers. I'll be back with you tomorrow night. Take care. God bless. Good night, Jen. It was great to have you back. Apparently we'd missed each other.
Absolutely.
This was fun.
I know. That was great.
Right. Take care. Good night, folks.
Everything is changing.